Hello from slidenerd and hello from Weebs. What's up folks? In the last vid, I was talking about button clicks. I was talking about the onClick attribute in XML through which you can handle button clicks. In this vid, I'm going to talk about something else called View.OnClickListener. It's another way of handling button clicks in Android. So first, let me talk about events. I have talked about this in the last vid. Again, I would like to give you guys an overview. There is a guy outside your door. He rings the doorbell, alright? And then what happens? The circuit gets activated. That is your doorbell circuit. The doorbell rings. Everybody hears it, but only one guy comes out and opens the door for you, right? The same way, you have your button over here, you click the button, there is an event which is generated. It's just like the circuit getting activated. The Android operating system receives the event. It tells everybody that, hey, button was clicked, button was clicked, button was clicked. Just like the bell, right? It rings everywhere. But there's only one guy who's interested to hear it, and that guy is called the listener, who comes back and does something for you, right? So that's what exactly we're gonna see in this. So here I have my button. There's a layout width, layout height. I have discussed all these attributes in my last vids. You guys should check my previous vids out if you're new to this for the first time. There's a text which says click here. Alright, there's a button and I have this ID. Now you guys are probably wondering what this ID is. Remember the syntax @ +ID /. You guys are wondering why the hell I've written those. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about resources in depth, and at that time I'm going to exactly get into the syntax for those. But for now, what you need to remember is I have given this a unique name called button1. Alright, now this name I can use it in the Java code and link my XML with Java. So again, here this button is there. There's an XML file which has the structure like this, and here I have my main activity. Now as I said, at this point when the button is clicked, it's just like your doorbell ringing. Android system is going to tell everybody button was clicked. Now but you, that is your app main activity, is interested in responding to this, right? So what you do is the first step, you tell the Android system that, hey, the button was clicked, please tell me. For saying that, you implements onClickListener, alright? You write implements onClickListener, the first thing. So here then you make the object for your button by saying button here. You have your onCreate method, which is pretty common. You have seen the life cycle of the activity. onCreate is where everything starts, alright? And there is this method called onClick view v. Now as I said, you have told the Android operating system that, hey, I want to be notified when the button is clicked. For that you wrote implements onClickListener, right? How will you be notified? This method onClick will be called by your Android operating system when the button is clicked, alright? So whatever you write inside this is going to run each time the button is clicked. So let me go ahead and actually show you, alright? So here there are some other things. As I said, we gave an ID over here, @ID button1 in XML, and you guys probably didn't know what it was, right? You guys were probably confused. So here I'm going to show you what exactly this thing does. Take a look over here, r.id.button1. This is the same ID which I had over here, alright? So here, if you guys see, I'm going to use a method called find view by ID. I'm going to link my XML and my Java. Now why do I need to do that? Because I need code over here to refer to my button and do something with it, right? So for that I need the button inside Java. So I'm going to say find view by ID, r.id.button1. This is going to give me an object, and I'm going to set my onClickListener. Now if you guys probably didn't understand this code much, don't worry about this. I'm going to go into Eclipse and show you a live working demo of this, alright? So let's go ahead. Alright guys, so here I'm inside my Android developer tools, ADT or Eclipse, whatever you call it. Here I have my project which is called button test. I've just created it. There is nothing inside it. As you guys can see, it says hello world. This is the graphical layout. If you go to the activity_main.xml, you can see what XML stuff is there. It's the same message, hello world, over here, right? So what I need first is I need a button over here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this, drag and drop a button inside this, right? Android Eclipse is gonna do all the hard work for me. If you see over here, there's an ID, layout width, height, text. Now text, I don't want button, I don't want something else like click here, right? Let me go ahead and save that. If you go to the graphical layout, you can see click here is written, right? The thing is, you don't want to put stuff over here. You should put them inside strings.xml, but for simplicity, I'm keeping stuff as it is. So if I go to my main activity.java, there's nothing over here, just some commands which I have put myself, and there's a main activity which is a plain app over here, right? So there are 4 things I need to do to ensure that button clicks work. First, I need to tell Android that I'm interested in listening to a button click. Remember, it's like a doorbell. Everybody hears it, but only one guy goes out and opens the door, right? So who is that guy? How will you tell it? For that, you say implements onClickListener, alright? When you write this, you tell Android that you're interested to listen to a button click, alright? So at this point, your Android is probably going to give you an error. Eclipse is going to say that what is this, blah blah blah. So say import android.view.onclicklistener, exactly. So at this point, if you remember, onClickListener is an interface. In Java interfaces, you have empty methods which don't have any bodies. So when you implement them, you have to define them, right? So for that, you're going to go ahead and you're going to say add unimplemented methods. As you see, we have defined this method over here, right? So now when your button is clicked, what will happen is this method will be called, and whatever you write inside this is going to run automatically. Android system is going to run that. Don't worry about it. Next, you need to bring your XML button inside Java. As you guys saw here, there's a button tag over here with an ID called id.button1, right? So how do you use this name over here? So for that we say r.id.button1, alright. Now this is the name which we gave inside our XML, and we are gonna bring that button here inside Java by using a method called find_view_by_id, alright. This is gonna give me an object. I need to assign this to a variable, right? For that I'm gonna make a variable over here called button. Again, button is a class in Java. In Android, you see android.widget.Button. That's the exact class over here. At the top you can see it's imported, right? So at this point I need to just initialize it by saying button equals to this, right? Problem is, find view by ID from XML, it takes stuff, converts them to an object and gives them back. Remember, this is a button, this is an object, so they are not equal, right? So we need to typecast them by putting a bracket over here. I'm gonna say button. So bam, done, that's typecasted. Next, you tell your Java button who is responding when it is clicked. Now at this point your button doesn't know what to do when it is clicked, right? So for that you say button dot set on click listener, and you say this over here. Now what this does is, you tell the Android system that hey, when this button is clicked, this means this class main activity. This is the guy who is responding when the button is clicked. And how will he respond? He will respond through this method called onClick, right? So that's very simple, right? So now let me go ahead and show you what happens. What should happen when your button is clicked? This is the next thing you define, and that you define inside this method. I'm gonna simply say log.d. I'm gonna give it a tag called vibs, and I'll say button was clicked, right? So let me go ahead at this point and save stuff by saying Control S. Select it over here, run it at the top. So at this point when I click here, as you guys can see over here in the logcat, it says button was clicked. Again I click, button was clicked, right? So what happens simply is, first you click the button, Android tells everybody that hey, button was clicked, blah blah blah, right? But here, since you wrote implements onClickListener, Android knows that you're interested in listening for button clicks. So what Android does, it calls this method, right? And it runs the code which you have written over here. Pretty simple. So I hope you guys understood something out of this vid. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to my channel, comment, let me know what you think about this. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Have a nice day.